from his family.
Was out on the field pretty much the whole entire first half.
Got a lot of great games. I'm highlighting 2 SEC games.
Let's go. Mayhem, what's up, buddy?
What's up? It's your boy Mayhem Matthew. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We have an action-packed, jam-packed show tonight, man. We're going to be talking about all the head coaches that have been fired recently over the past couple weeks. We're going to be talking about we're going to be looking at some games this weekend, and previewing and predicting them games. We're going to be also talking about some possible fraudulent programs that are ranked really high that I'm predicting you're not going to see much longer. We're also going to be talking about many more stuff. So please tune in, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. If you really like this channel, Ballard Sports Media is the channel. So hit the subscribe button. It's completely free, by the way. Completely free. Shout out to Yoda T in the comment section. I am ready for a banger tonight. What do you say?
I say let's do it, man. Let's get things going. Where do you want to start?
All right, so we're going to be starting off with the title of Touchdowns Live tonight. You're fired. All right, we're going to be talking about some coaches that have been fired over the past couple of weeks. We're going to go ahead and get some of the older news out of the way. We just want to have Touchdowns Live cover everything, so we haven't done a show in a while, so we're just going to briefly talk about some of these, but then we're going to really get into the meat and potatoes of the ones that recently happened, the ones that, in my opinion, are going to be affected most. So we're going to talk about Troy Taylor. He was fired by Stanford amid allegations of mistreating female staffers. I think he was fired at the beginning of the season, so they have been without their head coach for all the season. Kenny Burns was fired by Kent State in April for contract violations. Deshaun Foster, as we all know, has been fired by UCLA after an 0-3 start. By the way, I believe they are 4-0 now, or 3-0, 4-0.
Which team?
UCLA fired Deshaun Foster, and since they fired him, UCLA is undefeated now. They won.
They beat Penn State. They beat Michigan State on the road, by the way, and they beat Maryland, who I guess is having an okay year. Started out great, but it's kind of fallen off and had the meat of the schedule come up. But yeah, UCLA, since they fired Deshaun Foster, has looked pretty good. Nico's on the move, and everything's falling into place for them. But I still think that their season is done with. But could they push for a bowl?
Hold on. Mathematically, UCLA only has one conference loss.
Oh crap! You're right, dude. Northwestern, dude. Could they? I don't know if they went out. They got to play at Ohio State and at Indiana. But I mean, if they're able to get at least one of those and win the rest, are we talking about the Bruins in the Big Ten title game? You know how stupid crazy that is?
I mean, a lot of people are comparing this year to like 2007 Like,
Mhm.
I mean, I seen a crazy stat today where the top 10 in the preseason, most of them teams are not even in the preseason top 10 this week. Most of them, right? There are a few of them, but it seemed like last week to this week's rankings, I think every team has moved either up or down, except for number one Ohio State. Like,
Mhm.
it is absolutely crazy to see that. UCLA started off bad 0-3. Obviously, if they don't, I mean, the only way that UCLA can make it to the playoffs now is they absolutely have to win out, and they
Mhm.
would have to win the Big Ten title, and then they would get an automatic bid into the playoffs. They would probably be ranked number 12. But yeah, so UCLA still has a very slim path to the playoffs. It's not likely to happen, but it's really crazy how the turnaround happened so quickly. They fired Deshaun Foster, sorry, after 0-3, and now they are undefeated since then. Another team that fired their coach, Brent Pry, Virginia Tech fired their coach after 0-3 starts. Unfortunately for Virginia Tech, they haven't had the turnaround that UCLA has had. Mike Gundy was fired by Oklahoma State after a 1-2 start. Mike Gundy, man, I you know I've been thinking about this, and I really think, because Mike Gundy, he was an alumnus at Oklahoma State. He went to
Mhm.
that school. He coached there for 20 something years, and out of them 20 something seasons, he only had uh, one below 500 season in his whole entire career, which is crazy to say. So I think like they should have gave Mike Gundy the benefit of the doubt and just let him go after the season. I don't know if I agree with being fired. Like, I know it's a bad start, 1-2, but like, come on, dude. Like, Oklahoma State is a trash can right now. You could have had Mike Gundy
Yeah,
just.
and I would say even at least I don't see why you wouldn't have kept him to start out 2026 and see how that goes, and then you let him go. Maybe give him a couple weeks into that season even.
And then we had Sam Pittman. He was fired by Arkansas after a 2-3 start. Honestly, Sam Pittman should have been fired last year. I thought for
Mhm.
sure he would have been fired last year. They gave him another start. Not really much of a start, 2-3, because he got blown out by Notre Dame. I guess Arkansas felt like that was the final straw there. So they had to fire old buddy Sam Pittman. He's one of them guys. He's a nice guy. You don't want to really fire him. You want to give him chance after chance after chance. Really nice guy. Never really caused any trouble. But here we are, Sam Pittman out of a job. Um, you know, Look, Georgia, if y'all are looking to replace offensive line coach Sam Pittman, if you're looking for a job, you've been there before. So Sam Pittman, please come to Georgia, fix our offensive line problems. It'd be much appreciated. Which we did do really good offensively on the offensive line this past weekend, beating Ole Miss, but that's not the point. Um, just come to Georgia, Sam. Okay, they'll find something for you to do. James Franklin, that's the one of the big ones we'll come back to later. Trent Dilfer was fired by UAB after a 2-4 start. Trent Dilfer, man, didn't he have like a really good season at UAB? Was it last year
He had
or
him. No, no, God, it wasn't last year. Last year was
or
awful.
2 years ago?
Um,
I remember
yeah,
Trent Dilfer being one of
2 years
those.
ago, he was one of the top group of 5 coaches, and a lot of people really wanted Trent Dilfer, and he led UAB to like 7 wins a couple years ago, counting a bowl. And could it have been a little bit better? Sure. The downfall was last year and the start this year.
Yeah. So Trent Dilfer fired by UAB.
He's 9-21 at UAB.
Yeah, not a good look. Another group of five, Colorado State fired Jay Norvell after a 2-5 start. A lot of jokes have been rumored online. There's a lot of jokes being, thrown out there that if Mike Norvell is to be fired in the next couple of weeks by Florida State, then it would be funny that if Mike Norvell was hired by Colorado State, Jay Norvell, fired, Mike Norvell hired, right? That would be, kind of the joke there. But the two last names. And then we got the most recent firing in Billy Napier. Billy Napier, he was fired by Florida after a 3-4 start. I feel like he would have been fired probably before now, but he had that really great win against Texas. And then after that, I guess they wanted to go ahead and fire him now. On the bye week, you got, another week to prepare for Georgia. Georgia, they could prepare for Florida, but it's going to be new offense coordinator, new defense coordinator, new new interim head coach, new philosophies, new ideas. So it's going to throw a little bit of curveball by Georgia, but obviously I do believe Georgia's going to take care of business. So let's talk more about James Franklin, man. James Franklin gets fired by Penn State after a 3-game losing streak. Do you think that he was fired too early?
Yeah. I mean, look at what they did last year. They made the playoffs. Say whatever you want about who they played when they got there. He just led you to what could have been a national title run. I mean, seriously. He brought a lot of that talent back and everything. They were 3-3. And his last game was that 22-20 loss to Northwestern.
Yeah.
And he's been there since 2014. He's been there about 10 years, whatever. So I don't know, man. I have heard Penn State fans for a while say Franklin's got to go. Franklin's got to go. We got to get rid of him. He's got to go. I get that. But again, man, sometimes I feel like you got to let the season play out. Now, it didn't look like it was going to pan out the way you thought. It seemed like, based on the start to the season, going 3-3 and then firing him. I mean, the way they were playing, plus you got teams like Ohio State or whoever down the road on the schedule, it looked like it was going to be mediocre. So I kind of get it. But again, like is it me, Mayhem, or is he the hottest coach on the market right now? Like, would you go after him if you're a college team?
Absolutely. Absolutely, I would. I want to say something. I want to say a couple of things, actually. So he took the job. He took the job after the whole Joe Paterno Sandusky situation.
Yeah.
So he was in a really bad situation. Nobody wanted to go to Penn State. Penn State was not the destination to be at, right? Especially after everything came out and after Joe Paterno was fired and all that. I'm not going to get into that, but after all that, all them allegations came about, and after everything happened, football players, it was not an attractive place to go to, right? So there was a lot of there's a lot of like whoever the next head coach of Penn State, we're going to have to give him a few years because nobody's going to want to come to Penn State, yada, 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 blah, 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 right? But then James Franklin gets hired. And not only does he get hired, he's able to lead Penn State to the Big Ten championship, win the Big Ten championship in 2016, his second year there, right? Or second or third year there. It was either 2014 or 2015 when he got hired. 2016, he went to the Big Ten championship, won the championship, by the way. And he set a bar that Penn State can hang with the Ohio States and Michigans of the world. He set that bar, right? I don't think that Penn State was thinking that he would even do that his second or third year. They were probably thinking it would take 10 years to rebuild that program because of what happened before, right?
Yeah.
They were probably thinking it was going to take a long time. James Franklin set the bar very high whenever he came into Penn State, winning 10 and 11 games per year, winning the Big Ten championship in 2016. He set the bar, he set the standard for all Penn State fans and for the Penn State administration. He said, screw whatever happened before me. This is the standard here at Penn State. He was winning 10 and 11 games per year. Yeah, he had a couple of years where he only won 7 or 8 games, but for the most part, he was winning 10 and 11 games, and he was only losing to Ohio State and Michigan. This year he lost to Oregon, right? In an overtime thriller. And then he continued to lose, and what led to his downfall and what led to him being fired, he lost to Northwestern. You don't lose to Northwestern. By the way, in his first year at Penn State, his first loss was to Northwestern, and his last loss was to Northwestern.
Yeah, that is weird. It's funny when that happens.
So it starts and ends with Northwestern, by the way. But anyways, so like I say all this stuff to say this, right? James Franklin set the standard early on whenever the standard wasn't that. He flipped this program on top of its head, upside down in a good way. And he made promises to Penn State fans and Penn State athletics. He said, this football team will win a national championship. He got in the playoffs last year, made it all the way to the semifinals. If he wins that game, he makes it to the national championship versus Ohio State. So he set that standard. And to me, that standard was never met, and it never will be met. He had, I don't care what you say, he had the easiest path to the national championship. Last year should have been Penn State's year if it was ever going to be. They had to play Boise State. They had to play, who else did they play? Boise State.
SMU.
SMU, which was their first year as a Power 4 opponent, by the way. So SMU was a Group of 5 the year before that. Boise State was Group 5, so pretty much 2 Group of 5 teams. And then you met Notre Dame, which came off of a of a battle between Georgia and Notre Dame. That wasn't an easy win. They won that game, and honestly, I have a lot of thoughts about that game in particular, but I'm not going to get in it today. I'm just going to say that Notre Dame should not have beat Penn State. Penn State had like 2 minutes to go in the fourth quarter of that game, could have won the game. They couldn't put the drive together. Notre Dame wins. But, they were 2 minutes away, driving down the field to win that game and go on to the national championship. They only really had one really hard game, and that was the national championship. So I feel like James Franklin this year probably promised them, hey, we're going to win the national championship this year. Everybody in their preseason predictions, except for me, had Penn State winning the national championship. I think I've seen it everywhere, except for me and Josh Pate. I think Josh Pate had Alabama win the national championship. But most of everybody else had Penn State at number one at the end of the season.
Yeah,
I know Uncle Lou had Penn State win the national championship. I know a few others definitely did too. A lot of people were high on Penn State, and then they lose 3 in a row. Like, that's unacceptable. That's very unacceptable. They didn't even get. I understand losing to Oregon, but losing to UCLA whenever UCLA was a garbage can and they just fired their coach, that's unacceptable. Losing to Northwestern is also unacceptable. Like, you should have won both of those games. You should have been going into this game versus Ohio State with only one loss, and that was to Oregon. And honestly, like, you probably should have won that one too. You were up. You should have won. I mean, you had them beat. I don't know why you didn't beat them, but you had them beat. All you had to do was stop them on that 4th and 1 in overtime, and you win the game. That was it. That's all you had to do. But they didn't, and they lost. So, I mean, Penn State drew the line right there. Like they probably looked at James Franklin and said, "You promised us a national championship this year. What are you doing? Losing to Northwestern. What are you doing? Losing to." I feel like this is Mark Richt 2.0 all over again, right? Mark Richt would win every single game that he's supposed to, but then who would he lose to? Alabama, and then he would always lose that one game that you went scratching your head. You're like, how did Georgia lose to that team, right? It could be Vanderbilt. It could be South Carolina on any given year. It could be, sometimes Florida would beat us. Sometimes Georgia Tech would beat us, right? Like, you were like, you would lose to Alabama and that's, whatever. But then you'd also lose one other game, and that would keep you out of the national championship. That's why they fired Mark Richt. That's why they hired Kirby Smart. Kirby Smart's not going to lose to the teams that he's supposed to lose to. And same thing with James Franklin. James Franklin, the reason why he hadn't got fired up until this point was because he never lost to the teams that he wasn't supposed to lose to, right? He always lost to the teams that he was, quote unquote, supposed to lose to, right? So that's why he had his job safe for many years. But, dude, now you're losing to UCLA. Now you're losing to Northwestern. That's not acceptable at Penn State anymore. So in that regards, like, yeah, I understand the firing, because if you're not going to win a big game and on top of that, you're going to lose the games that you're supposed to win, like, get out of here, dude. Get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. James Franklin, they've been calling for James Franklin, for a while. They really have. And it's kind of been a split 50-50, like, oh, don't fire him just yet. He's got so much potential. And then it's like, man, he can't win the big one. He can't get over Ohio State or whatever. And that's where it comes in. Now he's out. What's next?
Yeah, so that leads us into our next topic. Very smoothly, by the way. Um, who does Penn State hire next? So I feel like the hottest name out there right now is Marcus Freeman.
Oh.
Marcus Freeman, I don't know if he wants to stay at Notre Dame, but I'm telling you, if I'm Penn State, I'm throwing everything at him. I'm making it almost impossible for him to say no. I will do anything and everything to get Marcus Freeman. Because honestly, I'm looking at the landscape of college football and the head coaches, and especially some of the choices that they want. That some of the hot board stuff that I was looking at earlier. They want some of the hot boards, like on 3 hot board for their coaching for Penn State's new head coach is abysmal. They want to hire. They want Manny Diaz. Are you serious? Manny Diaz? Like he was abysmal at Miami. Yeah, he's doing pretty good at Duke, but Duke was already a pretty good program under Mike Elko, and he just kept on having success under Mike Elko's players, and yeah, some of his players too. He did really good in the portal this offseason. But like, dude, I mean, Manny Diaz? No. Come on. I know he used to
I
be like
saw
a
one. I want to throw a name out there. I saw today from Penn Live. Um, Joe Brady, who was obviously been around in the NFL, was part of LSU in 2019. That's a name I saw somewhere today. But anyways, I didn't mean to cut you off there. I thought it was interesting because
yeah.
there's so many firings and
I just
teams that
some of these.
yeah.
So I'll get to Joe Brady in a second. Manny Diaz is a head. I know he has ties with Penn State. He used to be defense coordinator a couple years ago, but to me, Manny Diaz just doesn't make sense. I think Manny Diaz is right where he needs to be at Duke, and I think that's the level that Manny Diaz needs to coach, and he needs to stay there. Just stay there. He just lost to Georgia Tech. You think he's going to go to Penn State and beat Oregon and Ohio State? No, stop it. Another coach that I had seen floating around is Matt Rule. Now, Matt Rule is a Penn State alumni, and I do believe in Matt Rule. I do think the guy is an incredible head coach. But we got to address the elephant in the room, Ballard. What's his record against top 10 teams or top 25 teams? It's I can't remember if it's top 10 or top 25, but against ranked opponents, he's like 2-22. I think it's versus top 10. But I know what people are going to say, and I do agree with them a little bit. That was during his time at Temple and Baylor, right? And yes, Baylor and Temple doesn't have the money and doesn't have the utilities and the support like Penn State would have if he were to be hired. Right now, he's at Nebraska, which I would still argue that they don't even have the they don't even have what Penn State would have as far as uh the money, number one, number two, the utilities and the backing of the athletic director and all that stuff. I don't think they have what it takes at Nebraska like they do at Penn State. Okay, that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I think Penn State
could win a national championship as of like if they have a home run higher. And my pick, if I'm a Penn State fan, my pick is Marcus Freeman. If they hire Marcus Freeman, I think the ceiling is, I mean, the sky is the limit, right? I think
Yeah.
as of like within 2 years, he can be in the national title game. Marcus Freeman is an amazing head coach. He is the only one that I can see that is better than James Franklin today. I'm not saying that if you hire Matt Rule that he won't end up being better than James Franklin. I'm not saying that. But as of right now, today, the only one that makes sense to be better than James Franklin, an upgrade, which would be Marcus Freeman. And by the way, who did Penn State lose to in the playoffs last year? Marcus Freeman, right? So he would be the only one that I say, you know what? That is who I want to hire because he is better than James Franklin, right?
Yeah.
Other than that, like Matt Rule, like I would give him a chance if I was a Penn State fan. I would be like, okay, let's see how he does. But Matt Rule, he's one of them coaches where you're taking a chance. Manny Diaz, I don't even know why you would look in his direction. Another coach that I've seen is Eli Drinkwitz. He's good. But Eli Drinkwitz, I think he should stay at Missouri. I think he's a Missouri head coach. I don't really see him. To me, Eli Drinkwitz is a toss-up head coach. Like he could be very successful at Penn State, but then again, like he can have a couple of down years that make you wish you had James Franklin back, right? I don't know if Eli Drinkwitz has been consistent enough at Missouri that you want to make him your guy at Penn State. And the only coach that I can clearly, without a shadow of a doubt, say that he's going to be a definitive upgrade from James Franklin is Marcus Freeman. I mean, you can tell me some names, and there also I want to get your thoughts on this. There have been real news sources. I'm talking about On3 Sports and some real legitimate websites out there that are saying that Nick Saban can possibly come out of retirement. I want to get an Alabama fan's perspective from that. Yeah, that means it's absolutely not going to happen.
Right.
Huh?
Yeah.
Is that what that means?
I don't know.
I was saying that there are some legitimate news sources like On3, right? That were saying Nick Saban could possibly come out of retirement. I wanted to get an Alabama fan's perspective on that.
I mean, I wish him luck if he does. But I feel like there's still a reason that he retired when he did because of all the changes in the landscape of college football. I don't see it happening because of that.
I don't
Now,
see it
could he?
happening.
Yeah, but I doubt it.
Now, do you think he would be successful?
I think so. The question is how much success, you know?
Yeah, he
I
was.
mean, is it 6 more national titles? Is it just 1 or 2?
Yeah.
Is he
So Terry Saban was asked on game day, and she said that Nick Saban can definitely go coach and win another national championship at Penn State, but she wanted to give her children, Smart and who's the other one that Lane Kiffin, right? Chances to
Oh,
win
yeah.
national championships.
Yeah.
But I say all this to say I believe the best candidate is Marcus Freeman. I want to know, Ballard, your thoughts. You have family that loves Penn State. You probably follow Penn State a lot more than I do. I mean, I follow it a good amount, but you probably are more into Penn State than what I am in. So I'd like to get your thoughts and your opinions on who you think will be the perfect candidate as head coach.
Yeah, I don't really know who would be the best candidate. You mentioned Marcus Freeman. I could see it, but I haven't really heard much from my Penn State family that, oh, this is who we should go get. I haven't really heard that much. All it's been is, thank God we got rid of James Franklin. I don't really know who they want versus who they're actually going to end up with.
Yeah. So talk to me. I think we talked a lot about Penn State and that. Talk to me about Florida, man. Lead us into uh, how Billy Nappy Hair got fired, and I want to know who you think is some. You can list a couple of candidates, and if you have one that's perfect, you can tell us. But I just want to get your thoughts and opinions on Florida firing Billy Napier.
I think it was bound to happen. Um, I'm not surprised they let him go mid-season or close to mid-season. I know we're still just getting started, but I think we knew this day would come. The fans wanted it. Um, the I don't want to say the AD and the board for the school wanted it, but they let it happen in terms of, hey, this is what's best for Florida. Let's pull the trigger and just say, hey, you're out of here, pal. So I I don't know. My final thoughts on that are like, he kind of had it coming. You wish him the best of luck wherever else he goes, but I think it was clear that he was not a good fit for the SEC.
For sure. Who should Florida hire in your opinion? I mean, you can name a couple of coaches or whatever.
Um, let's see. I
Well,
don't,
while he
man. Who do you think?
So I
Because
have a couple of them that I think
yeah,
would be. I really only have about three of them that would be a home run hire. First, we got to talk about James Franklin. That would be an absolute home run hire. Now, I do have
yeah.
something here, Ballard. Just give me about 5 seconds.
Okay.
Here.
Yeah.
All right. So this is per multiple sources. Okay.
Okay.
Florida's preferred coach was Marcus Freeman. It is now
Mhm.
Lane Kiffin. Um, or you go into the abyss and hope to grab someone that can save you. And that is, let me get the source name 1 second.
I would say real quick
Dury.
before Manuel
And
gets back. Oh, are
well,
you back?
yeah, his name is Anand Nunduri. He is a former Miami alum. He's a former NFL uh uh like a quarterback enthusiast, and he's done. He's
Okay.
been with several different programs and stuff like that. And I guess he's an insider on some information. So it is to be believed that Florida went after Marcus Freeman already. He turned it down. He said no. So I don't want to put him in this group of list. I think Marcus Freeman is the perfect one for Penn State. But let's talk about Florida for a second. Here are the three coaches they need to go after, and after that, I don't know who you go after. So
Mhm.
earlier I said, James Franklin, right? You there?
Yeah.
All right. So earlier I said James Franklin. James Franklin is a great head coach. He won 10 and 11 games every single year at Penn State. If you can do that in the SEC, you're more than likely to be in the playoffs every single year, winning 10 games every year. More than likely to be in that playoff spot every single year. So, and Florida would absolutely, you know, probably build a statue and everything if you win 11 games a year at Florida. So, that would be a home run hire. He's already previously been in the SEC at Vanderbilt. He knows how to win football in the top conferences, Big Ten and in the SEC. He won back-to-back 9-win seasons at Vanderbilt. So he's a winning head coach. James Franklin would absolutely be a home run hire for them. Number 2, Eli Drinkwitz. I said earlier that I don't think Eli Drinkwitz would be a great hire for Penn State. But whenever you look at what Missouri's done and how successful they've been over the last couple of years, you bring him to Florida, and he's already familiar with the SEC as well. Bring him to Florida. He's a younger coach too. I think he could, do really good. I think he could do better, much better than Billy Napier. So I think that would be not a home run hire, but that would be a great hire too. And
Yeah.
the best hire you can possibly get is Lane Kiffin. The Lane train to Florida is the home run hire that you need. Um, and I know Lane Kiffin a couple of weeks ago, he went on some type of podcast, and he was telling the media that he wants to be like Steve Spurrier. That's
Yeah.
why he adopted the whole visor thing, and the way that he walks, the way that he, moves about him, like his mannerisms are a lot like Coach Steve Spurrier. And what better way to be like Steve Spurrier than to go to Florida and win a national championship there? So I feel like, if he really is serious about being like Steve Spurrier, go to Florida. Steve Spurrier is going to have your back. I know Steve Spurrier works somehow through the athletics in at Florida Gators. I know, so he would be able to be like Nick Saban is with Kalen DeBoer, kind of, right? I feel like he would help him as much as he can, and Florida athletics and Florida NIL would back Lane Kiffin 1,000%. Wouldn't even bat an eye. There'll be $1 billion donors given to that program. That is a rich program, way richer than Ole Miss, and it begs to bring the question, Ballard. Here's the big question: does he leave Ole Miss for Florida, and why? If he does or doesn't. Ballard.
Yeah.
I said, does Does Lane Kiffin take the job? Yes or no? Does he leave Ole Miss, or would he leave Ole Miss for Florida?
It's possible. I mean, I think that he's got to like what he's doing at Ole Miss, but I don't see him as like a guy that builds a culture and then sticks around forever. I think he's going to follow the money.
Yeah, so I'll just tell you my brief thoughts on this. You know, I know college football has changed a lot, especially with parity in college football. You're starting to see Vanderbilt and Georgia Tech in the top 10, which we'll get to Vanderbilt in a minute. I ain't done with them. But you know, we are starting to see these teams be in the top 25. Indiana, a couple of years ago, Indiana was 4-8, 3-9. Now they're
Yeah.
number 2 in the country. So we're starting to see a lot of parity in college football. But Ballard, the more things
Yeah.
change, the more things stay the same. I still believe that the ceiling is the sky is the limit at Florida. Florida had, and look, I am a Georgia fan. I'm a Georgia Bulldog fan saying this. The Florida Gators will give Lane Kiffin anything they want to. They will throw any kind of money. They will do anything it takes to win at Florida. And I know what you're going to ask me, Ballard. Well, why didn't they do that with Billy Napier? Well, they did. They did.
Yeah.
Because not only for the past couple of years was he top 10 in recruiting every single year, he was one of the best in the portals every single year. This dude has talent-wise has
Yeah.
a top. I mean, Florida has a top 12 talent-wise team. They can go out and beat anybody on any given Saturday. And I'm a Georgia fan saying that.
Yeah.
Florida, with the talent they have, man, and the coaches. Billy Napier was the problem. They got
Yeah.
rid of the problem. But they have an elite coaching staff there. They have even Nick Saban talked about it. Nick Saban talked about the elite coaching staff that they have. Even Kirby Smart was asked about it today. He said that they have a tremendous staff, man, that you know knows what they're doing, that you know that has worked with people like Nick Saban and Lane Kiffin back at their Alabama days and stuff like that, right? Even Billy Napier has worked with Alabama and Nick Saban and Kirby Smart and company. But Billy Napier had one problem. And that one problem is he wanted to be offensive coordinator. And I don't know. Look, I'm going to just say this. I seriously don't believe that you can win, and you can't win a national championship being your own play caller. Especially not in today's football. I really don't think you could ever do it. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but since I've been alive, or since I've watched college football, name me a head coach that's won a national championship calling their own plays. They haven't. If you look back, Dabo Swinney had an offense coordinator. Even Jimbo Fisher had whenever he was at Florida State, he had an offense coordinator. You look at Nick Saban, he's had an offense coordinator. Kirby Smart's had an offense coordinator. Ryan Day, he's had an offense coordinator. And defense coordinator, by the way. Kirby Smart don't call the defensive plays. Why? Because he has a coordinator to do that. Head coaches have a huge responsibility, more than just calling plays on every Saturday. You gotta delegate that responsibility to an offensive coordinator / defense coordinator / special teams. You're not going to see a head coach go out there and say, "Hey guys, I'm going to be calling the defense plays today." No, you hire a defense coordinator to do that. And that is a problem for not only Billy Napier, but for Texas. Texas Steve Sarkisian, they lost a couple weeks to Florida. He was asked, "Hey, what about the play calling? Are you going to give it to somebody?" He says no. He said that's why he got hired. By the way, Steve, you didn't get hired to be an offense coordinator. You got hired to be a head coach. That's number one. Number two, you might be an offensive genius, but you need to delegate these roles to other people, and you need to be the head coach. You need to do other things. You got a million different other things you got to do as a head coach that probably I don't even know. So also, we seen Steve Sarkisian nearly lose the Kentucky this past weekend. He was asked about it again, and he keeps on standing on business. And that's what Billy Napier. Look, Billy Napier last year was given another chance this year. He was asked last year to please get an offense coordinator. He said no. This year, they gave him one more chance to get an offense coordinator. He still stood on business, said no, and he ended up getting fired because, number one, Florida's record was abysmal. I think he ended his career at Florida 21-23, so he ended up with a losing record, which is unacceptable if you're the Florida Gators, by the way. You know, but to get back on track, I think if you hire Lane Kiffin, he, number one, is going to get an offense coordinator and a defense coordinator. He's going to get his team right. Number two, he's going to have way more money at Florida than he ever had at Ole Miss. And number three, recruiting. He's going to be able to recruit better, just like Billy Napier. Billy Napier was in the top 10 or top 15 pretty much every year he's been there. So, and that's not even counting the transfer portal rankings, right? So I say all this to say this, right? Lane Kiffin is a 1,000% upgrade over Billy Napier, and as far as Ole Miss goes, Ole Miss doesn't have the money, doesn't have the NIL that Florida has. I'm sorry to bust your bubble on that. And when we look at Lane Kiffin and his success at Ole Miss, it hasn't been through recruiting. It has been through the transfer portal. That's why he's known as the transfer portal king. And I hate to be the breaker of bad news, but you can't sustain success going into the portal every single year. You need recruiting. Recruiting is still king in college football, no matter what you think, no matter what you say. I'm standing 10 toes down on that. And that's what you'll have at Florida. You'll have a consistent top 5, top 10 recruiting class, plus your top recruiting transfer portal or whatever. You'll have all that. You'll have the money. You'll have the players, and you'll have a great coach. So Lane Kiffin at Florida, to me, is the perfect case scenario. I think the second best case scenario is James Franklin. And then you get down to, okay, Eli Drinkwitz, does he want to go? Also, I want to name a couple of coaches that will be good for pretty much any of these jobs, like Arkansas or Florida or Penn State or whatever, right? Kenny Dillingham, I think he'll be a great fit. He's a young coach, kind of has like that Dan Lanning style about him. If he goes to Penn State, I think he would have immediate success, especially what he's able to do with Arizona State in year one, I'm pretty sure, making it to the playoffs. I know he's not having the best of years this year, but he's still like number 3 in the Big 12 right now. So he can still make it to the playoffs. He still has everything in front of him. I think Kenny Dillingham would be a great hire. But other than that, you start getting into like the Matt Rules of the world. And, I think Matt Rule really, he's a hit or miss, really. He had great success before the NIL era at Baylor and Temple, and then he went to pros, and he didn't do good there. And then he hasn't had really good success at Nebraska. I think he's in year 3 at Nebraska, and he's already lost 2 games so far. Last week he took a bad loss. That was a bad loss. Was so I feel like um I do feel like hiring Matt Rule anywhere is a hit or miss.
Yeah.
As far as the Arkansas job, man, oh boy. I mean, I guess they already got their guy, right? The interim head coach, Bobby Petrino.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to hire him officially, but I mean, if I'm Arkansas, I'm also going to contact James Franklin. I think everybody should contact James Franklin, except for obviously Penn State. They already did away with the road, but like I think Florida should contact him. I think Arkansas should contact him. I think Oklahoma State should contact him. I think anybody that is being serious about college football should at least give James Franklin a phone call. And you ain't got to pay him much, by the way, because according to the
That's
Penn
true.
State contract,
Yeah.
Penn State contract, right? Um, read that comment real quick.
Cody, what's up, buddy? How about Lane Kiffin to Florida or Hugh Freeze back at Ole Miss? I don't know if Hugh would go back to Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin to Florida is seeming like the I mean, that's just so obvious, right? I mean, at this moment, I mean, it's only a matter of time before he packs his bags and goes to Gainesville. I think.
Yeah, I agree with you. Sorry, I had to do something real quick, but like, so yeah, I like Lane Kiffin to Florida. Bottom line, and as I was saying, you got to give James Franklin a call anywhere. James Franklin is the call to give. Um,
Mhm.
now, I don't know if Clark, like a guy like Clark Lee, does he go to Arkansas? Does he move from his alma mater? That's whenever it gets kind of sketchy. Does Kenny Dillingham move from his alma mater? Um, you know, that's where money's going to start having to talk, right? If you want them to move away from their alma mater, but like Clark Lee, Penn State could do the funniest thing and hire another Vandy coach. That would be funny. I don't think that'll happen, but Clark Lee definitely should get a call from Arkansas. If Eli Drinkwitz does take a new job there, I think Clark Lee should be another one that definitely gets a call from Missouri. Clark Lee should definitely be getting calls from these type of teams. Oklahoma State should be calling Clark Lee for sure. I wouldn't say, I wouldn't put it past them. I think James Franklin should also be getting all these calls too, and it'll be crazy to see where does he actually go, James Franklin, because I think there's only two splash hires for Florida, and that's James Franklin, and that's Lane Kiffin. Now, who wants to go? That's up to them. Whoever gets the phone call, I think the first phone call should go to Lane Kiffin, but uh, per sources, the first call already went to Marcus Freeman. He turned it down.
Yeah.
Now,
What was that last part?
so Marcus Freeman, per sources that I read earlier, Florida already contacted Marcus Freeman. He turned it down.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I don't know if that means he's staying at Notre Dame or if that means that he's already got his eyes set on Penn State. I don't know what that means. All I know is he's not going to Florida. That's a guarantee. And whenever you're at a team like Notre Dame, I mean, that's Notre Dame's a better job than Florida. It just is. But if we're talking about Ole Miss versus Florida, I think right now the better team is Ole Miss. The better program that's going to help you in the future is probably Florida today. I mean, that's just, I don't care what anybody says. I'm standing 10 toes down on that. But you want to here, let's just do some picks for this weekend and let's get out of here, man.
All right.
And while he's pulling up them picks,
Yeah.
for this weekend. I do want to go ahead and say this because I wanted to get this off my chest. Vanderbilt is a Vander fraud. Okay, they're sitting up there in the top 10, nice and pretty at number 10. But little do they know. Okay, I want to, while you're pulling up that, right, I want to pull up this easy behind schedule that Vanderbilt has this year. They started off with Charleston Southern. They went at Virginia Tech, by the way, that fired their head coach. They played South Carolina, that is terrible, a terrible South Carolina team. By the way, their quarterback got injured in that game. Lenore Sellers did. And they had to play like a guy that I already thought, graduated like 5 years ago, but he's still there somehow. Georgia State, Utah State, two garbage cans of schools. They lost to the only great team out there, Alabama, 30-14, lost by double digits, lost by 16 points. They had a bye week to get ready for, honestly, one of the worser LSU teams I've seen in a while. They've had some defensive struggles a couple years ago. They got it fixed this year. They have an elite defense. But where did their offense go? Their offense went into the tunnel, I guess. Didn't come out. So, yeah, you beat LSU, which was a fraudulent top 10 school, because LSU up until this point hasn't played anybody except for Ole Miss, and they lost. They played Southeastern Louisiana, a terrible Florida team, terrible Clemson team, by the way, that's 3-4, and then they played Louisiana Tech. And then they beat a terrible South Carolina team. So LSU was frauds, right? Already. They were in the top 10. I don't know why they were in the top 10, but LSU was made out to be a fraud. The rest of Vanderbilt's schedule goes like this: Missouri, at Texas on the road. You got to go back home to face Auburn, get a bye week, Kentucky, and then you go on the road to Neyland. That's the rest of Vanderbilt's schedule, and it is a lot harder than the top half of their schedule. They got a pretty hard schedule on the way. They are going to lose to Missouri this weekend is game day. Missouri don't care about that game day. It was made clear that whenever I saw that press conference this morning, Missouri don't give no craps about game day, and they're looking to beat Vanderbilt. They're going to beat Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt got to travel to Texas. I don't care how bad Texas has looked. Texas has an elite defense. Their offense hadn't been too well, but I think they're going to be ready for Vanderbilt. They're going to beat Vanderbilt. That's two more losses. Auburn comes into town. I don't know if Hugh Freeze will be fired by then, but I mean, you got to take Auburn seriously as a threat to Vanderbilt. I'll say Vanderbilt wins that. And then you got Kentucky, which I won't even talk about them. And then you got to go on the road to Tennessee, right? That's a loss. So you're looking at 1, 2, 3, possibly 4 more losses. So you're looking at 8-4 or 7-5 for the Vanderbilt Commodores. This is an absolute fraudulent program. I can't believe they're already in the top 10. And I'm gonna just be honest with you. I'm kind of upset, because if Georgia had the schedule that they had and they were undefeated, sitting up in the top 10, they would, or number 1 or whatever they are. Every single Alabama fan, every single fan in the country would be calling Georgia the easiest schedule of all time. It's just Georgia biased. The ESPN loves Georgia. They give them the easiest schedules every single year. They'll be dogging on us. But the minute Vanderbilt gets the easiest top half of the schedule, they put them in the top 10. Everybody praises them like they're some big powerhouse team. Screw Vanderbilt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right, let's pick some games.
All right. What's this first one? Let's see. Oh yeah, Oklahoma hosting Ole Miss.
I'm gonna
What's your
say,
thought?
I'm gonna say Oklahoma. I'm gonna give you my reasoning because sometimes a really big game can beat you twice. Coming off of a big loss that you feel like you should have won, sometimes that game can beat you twice. And I'm not saying that, uh, you know, I'm just saying that that was a pretty hard loss that they just took. And sometimes whenever you come out of a war like that, it could beat you the next week as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and say Oklahoma wins that.
All right, I'll lock it in for you. We'll alternate back and forth. I'll pick this next one. South Florida at Memphis. I think it'd be an interesting game here. I would like to pick the Bulls just because I'm in Florida and close to Tampa. Um, I really, it's at Memphis and they're coming off a tough loss to UAB. I think I'm gonna go Memphis here. I think they hand the Bulls another loss, but they're
Yeah.
first in
So
the American. I'm
yeah,
gonna go Memphis here.
yeah. So honestly, I like the pick. I wouldn't
Mhm.
be surprised at all. I think this game right here decides that group of five spot.
Yeah, for sure, man. All right, your pick, Missouri and Vandy. Obviously, we just got through talking about Vanderbilt a little bit, but your final thoughts on this game?
Missouri by 50.
All right. My pick for BYU, Iowa State. BYU, you had the drama with Jake Retzlaff or whatever this offseason. BYU, even without him, they look so good, dude. Now, not the strongest of schedules, but I mean, to sit here 7-0, they got some momentum. They go on the road here. This is almost a coin flip because Iowa State's been pretty good at home. They're still technically alive for the Big 12. Mm, I can't pick BYU to lose until I see it. I'm gonna go with the Cougs. Next is oh man, this might be a good one. You're picking this one, Illinois and Washington.
All right. So Washington, Illinois. I've actually watched a couple of Illinois games. I watched I think one or two Washington games this year. And
Yeah,
honestly, I'm not too like all right, so Illinois, I have a lot of respect for Illinois. I love Britt Bielema as a coach. He's really made this Illinois team tough. Like Illinois is a tough, scrappy team, but they are vulnerable at times. Washington, I feel like, is a really good team. Especially, I just like I just like Washington. Honestly, this is a very close game in my opinion.
yeah.
I think this is a close like 27-24, 28, 20, 24, something. I mean, 20, I don't know, like 28-31 type game.
Yeah.
Ah, I gotta
You don't
go,
know who to
man.
pick, do you?
I gotta go. Gotta go Washington, man.
All right.
I hate to
Who's
do
that
that,
coach
man.
over there now? Jed Fish?
Yeah, Jed Fish. He
He
came. He
dude,
came from
he's so
Arizona.
good.
He came from Arizona whenever Arizona was like 9-3 that year.
Yeah. Um, okay. All right. Here's why I'm laughing because I still got that bet with Lou. I need Iowa to win this game here. I need them to go 8-4 or better, and they're sitting at 5-2. Minnesota also 5-2. What's the spread on this one? Let's see. Uh, sorry. This will be the 3:30 CBS game for the Big Ten this week. The line favors the Hawkeyes 8.5. Has not changed. The over/under, take the under, 39.5. Iowa's going to win this game, this baseball game here, 7-5 somehow. But they're going to win. Give me the Hawkeyes.
Yeah, I will take up for the Hawkeyes a little bit. Their offense has gotten
I think they're a
tiny bit
fun
better.
team this year, man. I need them
Yeah.
8-4 or better because I took the over on the win total.
Yeah, I think Iowa's offense has gotten just slightly better. Instead of scoring 7 points, I'll give them 10.
All right. San Diego State and Fresno State. I mean, some of these are don't care games,
You
but
know, well, it's
I
my
think it'd
turn.
be fun. No, I know it's your turn. I'm just bringing it up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, give me the Bulldogs. I ain't going against the Bulldogs.
Them dogs.
I
Them
mean,
dogs.
look. My Georgia Bulldogs don't play. I gotta cheer for some Bulldog to win. So give me the Bulldogs. Don't matter.
All right. Bulldogs by 50. All right. Baylor, Cincinnati. This one, Baylor. I had high hopes for Baylor going into the season. I still think they're an interesting team. Cincinnati looks good right now at 6-1. They've yet to lose a Big 12 game. 4.5 point spread. Oh, excuse me. 4.5 point spread. 67.5% chance here for Cincinnati to win. This is at Cincinnati. This might be my upset. I'm gonna go Baylor here to hand Cincinnati their first Big
Can I
12 loss.
can I just say one thing about
Yeah.
yeah? So Baylor has, in my opinion, one of the best. I would say top 3 quarterbacks in the nation.
Oh,
And
and Sawyer Robertson.
Sawyer Robertson, dude, if he was on any team other than Baylor, I think he would probably be a lock for the Heisman.
I agree. That's part of why I'm taking an upset here because I feel like he could get the job done this week.
Yeah, Baylor's a really scrappy team, man. They are definitely an upset team. If you're going to pick an upset, I do believe Baylor Bears is one of those teams that you can take a chance on.
Yeah. So that's why I'm going with the upset here. Cincinnati's still a good team, still alive, but it's keep in mind 4-3 Baylor with one of their losses was week 1 against Auburn, and Jackson Arnold lit them up. Outside of that, I don't know what are their other losses. They're both in the Big 12. Let me see, 27-24, 42-36. So they're close games, dude. Arizona State and then TCU last week. So, dude, I'm leaning a bounce back here. Cincinnati's still a good team, but Baylor, I think, rebounds.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, you get to pick this next one. A&M and LSU. This will be fun. A&M 7-0, LSU 5-2. What do you got?
So I'm going to this game.
Are you really?
I am 100%.
You got the tickets already?
I do. Yeah.
Nice.
I am 100% going to this game. So I will say this.
Mm-hmm.
I want LSU to bounce back and beat A&M, but I'll give you some interesting facts. A&M has never beat LSU ever. No.
That is not true.
Hold on. At home, sorry. A&M has never beat LSU at Tiger Stadium since joining the
Oh,
SEC.
interesting.
So, and LSU, this is going to be a night game, 7:30 Eastern. I believe it's Eastern Standard Time, right?
Yeah.
So, Ballard, my gut is saying LSU is going to bounce back and win, just
Mhm.
because of the stadium is going to be the crowd's going to be into it. LSU defense is already elite because if they can stop Marcel Reed, then they pretty much stopped all of A&M's offense. But the problem is A&M's just so good. They're good on defense too.
Yeah.
My biggest question, see, this is a really hard game to pick, because on one hand, you think, okay, LSU defense can definitely stop A&M's offense, but then on second hand, you're thinking, how does LSU score at all with Texas A&M? That's my next point. But then I'm thinking, like, Arkansas just put up 42 points on Texas A&M's defense, and Arkansas has an interim head coach. But then you think, like, okay, LSU's quarterback situation, he's pretty much been injured since week 1, and he's been
Yeah.
playing injured. So you have a lot of, like, if, ands, or buts, and you don't know what's going to happen. And I don't think A&M is going undefeated. I just don't. I don't think A&M plays Bama either this year. So
No.
I think this is the trap game for A&M. I really do. They just got out of a war with
Mhm.
Arkansas of all teams, which is not a very good team to go to war with, by the way, because they're trash.
Yeah.
LSU's defense is much better than A&M's defense, but A&M's offense is much better than LSU's offense. So that's where it's like a toss-up game. I think this is going to be a very low-scoring game. And since I am predicting a very low-scoring game, I have to go with the LSU winners as the winners of this game. LSU is going to win this game in a very low-scoring. Now, if this becomes a shootout, A&M is going to win. A&M will win in a shootout. That's guaranteed. But I don't
Yeah.
think. I think LSU's embarrassed about the loss they took at Vanderbilt. I think Brian Kelly's job is seriously on the line right now. So I am definitely going to pick, because I'm assuming that A&M's favored in this game.
Mhm.
I'm going to pick the upset here because it just screams upset to me whenever I see A&M just got done with war against Arkansas, a terrible Arkansas team. LSU needs a bounce back win. You know, their head coach might be on the hot seat for real. I think this screams like LSU win here. So I'm going to say low scoring. This might be like a 24-17 type of deal. I'm
Yeah.
going LSU here.
All right.
You know
My
what they say?
final pick. Oh, go ahead.
You know what they say? Defense wins championships, and offense puts seats in butts. Butts and seats. Sorry.
Yeah. Seats and butts. All right. North Dakota State, South Dakota State, probably a really good rivalry. Good game here, but it is group of 5. Let's be honest. Is anyone actually going to watch this game? I don't know. North Dakota State, the better program. South Dakota State, though, having a good season. Both teams 7-0. Eeny, meeny, miny. I'll go Bison. I don't care who wins this game, but I hope I'm right. So, what the hell? All right, tiebreaker. I'm gonna let you do this. Give me a final score for Vandy, Missouri, and we'll put the total number of points.
Okay, I'm gonna go. 34-20.
34-20. It'd be 54. All right, that's our pick 'em. Mayhem. What do you think?
Yeah, I thought we did really good actually. I liked a lot. I think I liked all. If you would have told me to do the whole thing by myself, I think I would have picked your picks too. Honestly, I'm not even joking. I agreed with every one of your picks. So
Yeah.
if you would have told me to do this whole entire thing by myself, you probably would have came out with the same picks. If you want me to be honest.
Yeah, probably. Did we get to this question here from Cody?
No,
Do
no, I
do
just, I
y'all
just.
think do y'all think we see Texas A&M, Alabama in the SEC championship? It's possible. It's looking like it could be. Alabama's got to win out. And Texas A&M's got to win out. And we just got through talking about that LSU game. It. What do you think? You think that's a good matchup there and a good possibility?
So this is where it becomes kind of like crazy, right? Because
Yeah.
so if Texas A&M loses like I'm predicting, they'll have one SEC loss, and even if they win out the rest of their games, then okay. So if they have one loss in the SEC, Georgia has one loss in the SEC, but it's to Alabama, which I'm pretty much predicting them to be in the SEC championship. So right now, as it stands, Georgia. So you have a lot of like 6-1 teams right now, which I think Vanderbilt. You can go ahead and cross them off the list after this weekend. You can go ahead and cross Oklahoma out off of this list. As far as conference wise, go ahead and cross them off the list. I think you're go ahead and cross Texas off this list because I think Georgia's going to win. Go ahead and cross Ole Miss off the list because I think they're going to lose this weekend to Oklahoma. I think your really only contenders this year, seriously, is A&M, Georgia, and Bama.
Okay.
Obviously, Bama will be. I'm going to lock in Bama in the game in the SEC title game. They are a lock, in my opinion. I don't think.
A&M and Georgia don't play, do they? So
No,
you might
that
have a tiebreaker.
see that's the
How would you do
question.
that tiebreaker?
That's the question. Do you do common
Yeah.
opponents? How do
What
I
common
wonder?
opponent? I mean, what common opponent? Like,
So Georgia plays Texas. A&M also plays Texas.
that's
A&M.
true. So you would have
Um,
to, if you're A&M, you got to hope that both teams beat Texas and you hammer Texas on rivalry weekend harder than
um,
Georgia gets them in October.
yeah. I don't. So Georgia played the A&M. I'm trying to think. A&M plays.
I got A&M. Do y'all get so here's A&M. We got LSU. They
We don't have.
got Missouri,
We don't have.
South Carolina,
We don't have.
Samford.
No.
Doesn't even matter. Texas.
So Texas is only common opponent.
Damn.
But do they look at rankings first? That's the question. Do they look at rankings first and then they go into common
Maybe.
opponents?
This is why we might need play-in games for SEC title. Is that a good idea, you think, at some points?
No, because then you can have like, because a play-in would be like the top four teams. So you have A&M, Bama, Georgia, Ole Miss, and Ole Miss could sneak in their way even if they have a couple of losses. I don't think that's a good idea. I think just have the two best team with the whatever the tie-ins if it's the ranked. So I'll look up really fast because I already got it almost pulled up. SEC SEC championship tiebreakers. So are you with me?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, so they look at head-to-head competition among the tied teams. They don't have head-to-head because they didn't play each other. So then they look at record versus all common conference opponents amongst the tied teams. So so it would be Texas. That's the only team. So a record versus the common opponent. So if Georgia and A&M both beat Texas, then they have to go to number C, record against the highest placed common conference opponent in the conference standing and proceeding through the conference standings among the tied teams, which ours would be one. So record against the highest placed common conference. So ours would be 0-1 because I guess the highest placed common conference opponent would be Alabama, and I don't know who theirs would be. I'm assuming Texas. So I don't know if that what that means, but I'm assuming maybe Texas A&M might get in over us. I don't know. So yeah, Texas A&M, Alabama is a good pick if you want to do that, but
Yeah.
um
It's
I
gonna be fun. I'll tell you what, man. If A&M gets in that SEC title, I'm not gonna sit here and say, "Oh, they're gonna back their way in" or anything, because obviously they look like a good team. They don't. They probably could run the table and not have to back their way in. But I mean, dude, A&M against any of these teams. You talk Ole Miss. Um, I doubt this happens, but let's say if chaos occurs and you get a Texas rematch, you get Georgia, you get Alabama. A&M looks so fun offensively, dude. And the defense is pretty good too. Let's pick right now, Mayhem. Your final thoughts. All these scenarios for the SEC. Who makes it to Atlanta if it had to happen right now, who makes it and who wins the SEC? I would go Um, you know what? I'm gonna surprise you here. I'm gonna go Alabama Ole Miss. I'm gonna go Alabama Ole Miss, and I think we get it done. Who do you say?
All right, so I think Ole Miss is kind of out of it at this point. I think it's a
Okay.
three-way. I think it's a three-person race at this point. A&M, Bama, and Georgia. Now I could see two different scenarios, and here are the two scenarios here. I could see A&M, Bama. I can clearly see that as long as A&M can afford a loss, and I still believe they could still make it over Georgia. Bama, I think, is a lot. So it's going to be Bama versus somebody. So I'm going to give you two scenarios, and I'm going to give you two winners because they're two different winners. By the way, I think it's going to be A&M versus Bama. Bama gets it done, which would be better for Georgia because if Georgia goes and wins out, let's just say they win out and they go 11-1 and miss the SEC title because A&M went 11-1 and Bama has a head-to-head tiebreaker over us, right?
Mm-hmm.
That would mean that you have three teams in the SEC that are 11-1, which I don't know if that's realistic. I feel like one of them is going to lose, but let's just go with that. A&M versus Bama, SEC title. Georgia misses, doesn't have to play that extra game, but they automatically get a bid because they only have one loss. They're going to be in the top 12, so they get like an extra bye week there. So I like that for Georgia. They get that extra bye week to prepare. And then I think Bama wins versus A&M.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I
I like
promise you I'm not saying this because I'm a Georgia fan, right? I promise.
Mhm.
But if we get Georgia Bama, I hate that I'm saying this because it sounds
If we get,
so.
I'm gonna be honest. I think here's what I really think. If we get a Bama Georgia rematch,
It's
which
got
we
to be
haven't
Georgia.
seen since 2021, number one, it'd be a great game. It would reel in a lot of good views. I think y'all get us. I
Yeah,
really
it
do,
has.
man.
I feel like Georgia
It's
does
so hard to
better.
get the same team. It's hard to beat the same team twice.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, sir.
I I feel like Georgia has only beat Alabama in rematches,
Mhm.
and that's only been what one time since we rematched.
Yeah.
Georgia, Alabama in a rematch. Hopefully Georgia doesn't make the same stupid mistakes and don't and this time actually kicks a field goal to tie y'all. And possibly play for overtime, but hopefully we get the job done. I know like the only reason why I say Georgia's because like it's not going to be home field advantage. And Kalen DeBoer, this will be his first SEC championship going into. I know he's been to the national championship. He's been at the highest stage of them all. I understand that. I get it.
But he didn't do that well in it with the
But
pressure on him.
yeah, I think Kirby Smart will get him. I at some point I do predict whether it be this year or next year or the year after, whatever. I do predict Smart to get his win over Kalen DeBoer. I don't think Kalen DeBoer goes undefeated against Kirby Smart in his career. I think that's crazy talk. It don't sound like crazy talk right now because he's 2-0 against him. But I think eventually even Kirby Smart got got Nick Saban at least one time, right?
Yeah.
So I've got to believe that Kalen DeBoer is not some, Kalen DeBoer is not some undefeated person. I mean, he could be beat, obviously. He got beat by Vanderbilt last year and he got beat this year by Florida State. So he can be beat. And I feel like Georgia had Alabama beat this year. And the reason why I'm saying in a rematch, I think Georgia will win is because our offense over the past couple of weeks has looked night and day compared to what we did versus Alabama. And I don't know if there's some type of matchup problem, like maybe, Alabama just matches up well with us and that's why we lose all the time. I don't know if it's a matchup problem or I don't know what it is. I know Georgia has a Bama problem. I get that, but we got to overcome that, man. So my scenarios, A&M, Alabama, I think Alabama takes care of business. They go on. And I still think Georgia and A&M make it to the playoffs. I think them are the three teams that you get for the SEC. And then because you got 12 teams, so I think Georgia would be right on in there. They would, kind of like you were talking about earlier, back their way into the playoffs. And we would get a week off from playing until we get ready for that first round playing games. Which, by the way, I wouldn't be opposed to Georgia doing that anyways, because we've seen last year whenever you get the bye week, it kind of hurt the bye week teams. It kind of hurt them. Every single one of the bye week teams lost last year. Oregon lost. Boise State lost. Georgia lost. And Arizona State lost. So all of them teams lost, and they were first round byes. They lost. So, from the little bit of facts that we have from last year's first ever 12-team playoff, I think this year it might be the same, where the first round, byes actually hurts the team and they end up losing. I wouldn't be opposed to Georgia actually starting in the first round of the playoffs and working their way, trying to gain some momentum. It's kind of like whenever you catch fire in the I know this ain't basketball, but whenever you March Madness, if you catch fire, at a good time, you start rolling, right? And I think this is just a sports thing. Whenever you catch fire and you're on a roll, just like Alabama is right now, I think they beat 4 top 25 teams in a row so far. So they're on a roll right now. So I feel like if Georgia can, somehow miss the SEC championship and have A&M, Bama go in and we go in, even at 10-2, I think Georgia still gets into the playoffs somehow. Because, I feel like they have a pretty good resume beating top 25 Tennessee and top 25 Ole Miss, as long as they keep on winning games. Hopefully they don't drop out of top 25, but as long as they stay in the top, we'll have 2 top 25 wins, one in Neyland Stadium and one in Sanford Stadium. But and we kept it close with what I'm assuming would be the reigning or the SEC champions, Alabama. We would only have lost to them by 3 points. So And we would have beat Texas, so hopefully Texas can get a couple more wins so they stay in the top 25 when we beat them, right? They should be a top 25 at the end of the year, I hope, right? So we'll have 3 top 25 wins. And Georgia Tech, by the way, Georgia Tech will be in the top 20. I think Georgia Tech might be undefeated whenever we play them. So if we beat Georgia Tech, we'll have 4 top 25 wins, even at 10-2 if we lose a game, right?
Yeah,
So
you got a strong chance, man. The resume lines up.
yeah, I do feel like the resume definitely lines up. Even if we lose a game, we'll still have 3 or 4, possibly 5 top 25 wins. So
Yeah.
and 1 at Neyland Stadium, which people say is, loud crowd and all that stuff. I went there, by the way. I mean, there was a few moments in that game where it got extremely loud, especially whenever Tennessee fans thought they won the game for a second. It got really loud. I mean, yeah, it was really, really loud at some points in that game. Some points in the game, I was thinking, like, is this Neyland Stadium? But anyways, I can talk about that for hours. I want to answer this last question, and we're going to get on out of here. Can you see Ty Simpson as a Heisman? I'm going to go ahead and answer that for you. Absolutely, yes. I think after week 1, because I don't know, maybe nerves got to him or something. After week 1, that loss, I think he transformed into the typical Alabama quarterback. And I don't know what happened. I don't know if he got a talking to by his parents or his head coach, or I don't know what happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if Kalen DeBoer told him to get in his office, and if he loses another game or if he plays a bad game again, he's going to spank his butt blue. I don't know. But all I know is that Ty Simpson got it together, and boy, look, I'm not an Alabama fan. I hate Alabama. I hate Alabama. Anyways,
Hey, Crimson Red.
yeah, so
I couldn't help it.
so I look, I could see Ty Simpson 100% as a Heisman, 100%. Now I
Yeah.
wish, I
I'd
do
be
wish.
shocked if he's not a finalist, but at the same time, there's some good players out there, man. He's got some competition.
Yeah, I think our preseason Heisman is gone out the window. Gus
Which one
not.
did we say?
We said Cade Klubnik. Well, that's not happening.
I said Cade Klubnik. You said
Yeah.
Nussmeier.
Yeah, well, that's not. Both of them are not happening. We were way wrong on that. Who else did we say? Jeremiah Smith, I think, will be a Heisman finalist. He's just too good not to be.
Oh yeah, Ohio State.
Yeah, so he's going to be up there. I can see their quarterback, and Alabama fans will love that. 2 Alabama quarterbacks. That would. I know. How Alabama loves to say that they have Jalen Hurts, so they would definitely claim Ohio State's quarterback too if he won the Heisman.
Hold on. That's different. That is different. Because he never took a snap at Alabama. Jalen, at the very least, led us to at least 3 national titles.
But I'm just trolling. But anyways, I still think there's a good portion of the fan base that would try to claim him, though. I do. I feel that way. But just like Ohio State fans, they try to claim Joe Burrow all the time, and he never even took a snap at Ohio State. So it is what it is at this point. But I could see both of them. Jeremiah Smith. I can see Sawyer Robinson just getting an invite, just based on how good he is. But only thing that's going to bring him down are his losses. You don't really see Heisman contenders having 3, 4, 5 losses, so that's going to hurt him tremendously. But if you look at just pure stats and you really look at who's the best player in the country, you got to look at Sawyer Robertson. I can also see Southern Cal. Lincoln Riley pushes out Heisman contenders like crazy. Last one was Caleb Williams this year. They got an absolute stud at quarterback. I could see him in the Heisman race, but other than that, I don't really see too many others. If you want me to be honest with you,
Yeah.
I know people are talking about Gunnar Stockton right now because he had a tremendous game. You know, this guy only dropped 5 passes.
Yeah.
He was like 29 of 34 or something like that. He only missed 5 passes. He had like total yards, like rushing and passing. He had like 300 something total yards, and he had
Yeah.
5 touchdowns, 5 total touchdowns. I think one of them was a rushing touchdown. And he had 3 touchdowns in the air. And so that is ridiculous stat, man. I mean,
Yeah, it is.
like, I know Gunnar Stockton, he didn't look too good in the beginning, only having 100-something yards per game. But Georgia also, ran the ball a lot too. We played more of a conservative game, or it seemed like to me they did, right? I feel like they're starting to trust Gunnar now to sling the ball down the field. And that's what I love about this Georgia offense now, because whenever their backs were against the wall, they let Gunnar sling the ball. And that's what I wanted. And if he keeps on doing this on a week-to-week basis, it's going to be hard to keep Gunner's name out your mouth. All right?
Yeah.
So keep my quarterback's name out your mouth. I'm going to slap you like Will Smith. Anyways, all right. See ya. Love y'all. God bless.
Yeah. Love you guys.
From his family.
Was out on the field pretty much the whole entire first half.
We got a lot of great games. I'm highlighting 2 SEC games.